Hello and welcome to the show, Your Real Estate Today. Happy Saturday. We hope that you're enjoying this Saturday wherever you are. We hope that you're dry, safe, and got some time for us because the show, Your Real Estate Today, is all about your real estate. And we hope that you're there, whether you're a buyer or seller or investor. We're here to provide you with information. I'm your host, Paul Jameson. I am the owner of the Jameson Companies. That's Jameson Realty, Jameson Property Management, and Jameson Property Investments. So we work with buyers, sellers, and investors. We manage their individual investors' real estate through our management company. We have been around a long time. I'm not going to count that high, period. So we're just going to keep on going that. I'm joined today by two great people. I'm joined by Sandy Dickinson with Summit Funding. Sandy Dickinson and to be announced. And I'm also joined later on in the show with Marty and Sam Ivey with Ivey Exterminating. And I cannot wait for them to share with you what they got on their mind today. So let's get started. And I want to thank, first of all, TJ for being here on the board today. Thank you, TJ, as always, for being the man that makes me sound better than I actually do. Okay. And he knows that's the truth. Very humble guy. Glad to have him. He's a big, famous guy. You need to listen to his show Tuesdays and Thursdays with Mark Garrison. It's a lot of fun. So at 6 o'clock, right, TJ? 6 o'clock, Tuesdays and Thursdays. They will entertain you to no end. All right. So what did I learn this week? 63% of home buyers made an offer sight unseen. 63% made an offer sight unseen. Sandy, sight unseen.
Yes, that's crazy.
That's unbelievable. That means those fellas from New York, Chicago, Boston, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, they're wanting to get here real bad. So they're buying houses sight unseen. 1/3 of home buyers would, 1/3 of home buyers would relocate if remote work became permanent. 1/3. Again, New York, wow. Chicago, Boston, Connecticut, California, they're trying to get here. And they're bringing their Democratic selves with them. Oh, did I say that out loud? Sorry. Oops. They could leave their Democratic vote at home. All right. If you don't know when you fill out a property disclosure, if you don't know the answer, don't guess. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute because that's going to come back to bite you in the shizzle for sure. If you don't know the answer, don't guess. All right? Because you could be in for a fight. Now, a lot of people have asked me, Paul, we're in a 0.7 months of inventory. And for those that don't listen to me regularly, this is what it means. If no houses came on the market tomorrow and we dealt with the inventory we had, every house on the market would sell in 0.7 of 1 month. So people ask me, how am I ever going to find a house? Well, I'm about to tell you. You work with Jameson. No, that's part of it.
True.
Right. But here's the other. Many people have said, I don't want to put in a backup offer. TJ, we talked about this, you and me, the other day. Backup offers. Why in the world would somebody do it? Here's why. Drum roll, please. 35 to 40% of houses that go under contract are falling out of contract.
But they didn't see them.
That's right. Or they found something else, or they didn't qualify, or there was another issue, or they put multiple homes under contract and started dropping them off. if 3.5 to 4 out of 10 properties are falling through, why are you not writing a backup offer on the home you want? Absolutely. Now, here's what's interesting. They also have what's called the stink eye principle. The stink eye principle is not pink eye. The stink eye principle says that if a house goes under contract and it comes back out of contract and goes on the market perceives that that house has the stink eye, meaning something's wrong with it. So less people come after that house, even if there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So just know that if you're not looking at the stink eye houses or putting in backup offers, you're missing out on potentially being able to buy a home. Don't be afraid of it. Okay? And lastly, before we go to the mortgage update with Sandy, with soon to be announced, I would like to talk to you about repairs. Now, Marty, who's coming up in the show a little bit later, deals with this with me all the time. Repairs are exceptionally important to negotiate, especially if you have a very, very large due diligence period amount and a very small due diligence period. A due diligence amount means a non-refundable deposit that you put down to tie that home up. Case in point, let's say you put down $10,000. That's a big non-refundable deposit, right? And you find things wrong. All right. We're going to talk about today in the show how you work through that process and things that you need to know and things that you need to do. And I'm going to lean on Marty and Sam for some fodder on that too. So don't leave us, because you need to talk. You need to understand what's happening. All right. And I'll help you. All right. Sandy.
Yeah.
It is now your time under the sun. So tell me.
Okay.
You've got some big news, but we also need our mortgage update.
Okay. I'll be quick then.
No,
So
we got time. We got 2 minutes.
Okay. The big news is that I have taken my branch of about 30 people and I've moved them to a new company. So we are now going to be Cross Country Mortgage. And it's exciting because they're a little bigger than Summit. They have more products. They have more construction firm, more renovation. Their rates are probably a bit better. And anyway, the operations are amazing. Everybody that's been there has just raved about it. So that's where we're going to be. We're in the same location. We're not moving locations. We're just moving names. So that's effective as of now. And so anyway, I'm excited to be over there and to work with those people. They seem terrific.
Right.
Mortgage. Go ahead.
But Sandy, so just to ask the question, everybody still gets you, right?
Same number, same location. They still get me. That's right.
Okay. So they still get your people too, the great level of service, all that is the same.
The team is the same. Yeah. Everything's the same. It's just a different name.
Yeah.
The names
And
have
I'm
been
excited about the new offerings of new services. That's kind of cool too, huh?
Yeah. So I think it's going to be really good. They have over 25 jumbo products, which we've only had 3 or 4 recently at Summit, and lots of investors. So we'll shop around for you, get the best deals.
Sounds great. All right. So anyway, you were saying that we got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay. Purchases are flat year over year, and that's probably because there's no inventory. Could be the weather, but mostly that. Rates are trending up. So they are anticipating by May, we will get an inflation report, maybe as much as 2.5%. And that will be a big increase in rates. So the government's trying to keep them down, but if you are financing something, go ahead and lock it. The rates have gone from being 1 to 1.25 better from last year to about 3/8 better than last year. So they are in the 3s, they're not in the 2s, but they're still terrific. So you're still going to get a nice deal.
That's great. Sandy Dickinson, Cross Country Mortgage. How do they get you?
704-577-0144, the same number.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Sandy. Congratulations on the move. More to come. The show, Your Real Estate Today. I'm Paul Jameson. Stay with us here on News Talk 1110 and 99.3 WBT. Welcome back. The show, Your Real Estate Today. Hey, it's Paul Jameson, your host with the Jameson Companies. That's Realty for buyers and sellers, property management for the individual investor, and investment, which is if you're interested in investing in real estate, we've got a team to help you. So we're excited to be here on this Saturday, here with Marty and Sam Ivey with Ivey Exterminating. We got a loaded show today, guys.
Yeah, big show today.
I know it. And I tell you, I like it when the weather gets better, but evidently there's another critter that likes it when the weather gets better.
Yes, my friend, love is in the air. There ain't no season. There ain't no season like termite season. This is the time of year that most homeowners never get a chance to know their termites. But this time of year, termites do a mating flight, and it's usually a 1-day flight. On rare occasion, it may be 2 days, and on extremely rare occasions, it may be 3 days. It may occur in a home. And these termites, basically, they take flight so they can pair off male and female. When in air, the female fans her pheromone in flight so the male can find her. Even though they are a blind insect, they will fly towards the light. And so typically people will come home and they'll find all these dead insects or wings. In most cases, it's strictly wings because the termites get in areas where you can't see them. They'll cast their wings off. They're referred to in the industry as cast wings. We see them a lot on these inspections. And people say, well, it was just a 1-day thing. It's not a problem. But what people don't get their hands around, it's an ongoing problem. Termites are the silent invaders. They're very, very good at hiding themselves, making themselves non-visible. And only in most cases, the only way that you can find them is through having a professional such as us here at Ivey Exterminating take a look at it. The termite swarmers that swarm this time of year, they happen typically during the day, and they'll swarm and they'll pair off male and female. If they make it back to the soil, they'll try to start a new colony. Most of them are eaten by predators, birds, ants, other insects eat them. The amazing thing about them is they work 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. They're very consistent about what they do. It's an amazing cycle that happens. What some people believe that happens that makes them swarm is that the female, the alates or the workers, they go in and they go back to the queen and they regurgitate their food to her. And when she does that, she puts a juvenile hormone in that food and she feeds it to the rest of the termite colony. It causes the whole colony to be sterile, a whole slave to her, to be a slave to her. This time of year, the soldiers come to the queen and push a lot of immature termites away from the queen and not providing that food source to them, and that sterile additive wear off. They refer to it as a juvenile hormone. It wears off and they grow wings, change color, and do a mating flight. It's a very interesting little process that happens this time of year. Typically, we're in full boat swarm season around Easter. I call it the resurrection of the termite season. This year, because we've had so much rain.
I caught that. I saw what you just did there.
You like that? You like that little segue?
Sam, smack him right there, right now. I want it on tape.
Yeah. They this
so
time.
Do they give up whatever the one termite vomits to the other one during Lent?
No, well, amazingly, it depends on whether they've got ash on their forehead or not. But,
oh my gosh, that is wrong.
The amazing thing about that insect is that God did create them all. But the amazing thing about that insect is they have hazards within their systems that force behavior, and these hazards make them very successful at life. It is an amazing little process.
All right, Marty, I'm going to ask you a question because this came up with me and Sammy one time.
Okay.
Now there's a critter that also behaves a little bit like the termite, kind of looks like the termite, and you think you got termites, but you don't have termites. But you don't obviously want to take the chance. Remember that, Sammy? When I called you on the phone, and that when they were all over the floor by the window, and they were some kind of flying ant or gnat or something or other.
Yeah.
What is that thing?
Ants do a mating flight very similar to termites. They do a very similar mating flight, and it sometimes can be at the same time of year. We see a lot of it. We get a lot of calls where they're just not termites, they are ants. In most cases, the only way that you're going to be able to figure it out is to look at one under a microscope so you can see how the body is configured, or call us here at Ivey Exterminating 704-334-1616 and get an expert evaluation.
Well, that's what we did, because remember, it was the day of the final walkthrough, and I go in there, and there's those suckers all over the floor.
It was ants.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Dang, man, it scared the living bejeebers out of me. I thought, oh my gosh, we got us a swarm.
That's right.
That was really something. So, Marty and Sam, we've talked about this, and I want to bring it up one more time. There's two statistics. Well, one, let's start with this one. There's X number of colonies every X number of yards in a yard or acre or something. And then the other one was that a lot of times to save money, people use those bait things with the piece of wood in it they expect a blind critter to crawl over and, and actually hit.
Here, the industry standard is there's about 3 termite colonies per acre. Here in the South, not only are you in the Bible Belt, but you're in the termite belt also. There's about, in some areas of the Charlotte area, there could be as many as 1 colony over 50 feet. The baiting programs have become very, very popular. We do on occasion put them in. We're not a big fan of them. And the reason I'm not a big fan of them is the law of probability. The law of probability says more steps in any program, more likelihood of failure. There's a lot of steps in the termite baiting program. And there's a lot of things that the homeowner does that compromises those programs. It's unfortunate, but it just happens. If the termites are actively feeding in those baiting programs and you run over them with a lawnmower or hit them with an aerator or a dog digs around them, those termites will shy away from that baiting program, and they may never come back to that one station, and you may never get an opportunity to get your handle around them. It's a very interesting process with these baiting programs. We put them in. We've got some customers that really want them, and we will put them in on occasion. But as a rule of thumb, a chemical program with a product called Termitor is the best program out there. It's typically a 1 application program, and it's very, very effective. And the less steps in any program, the more likelihood that you're going to get success. We've been using Termitor since its inception. It's been out now about 17 years, and we've had just about absolutely no failures in that product. It's a very, very good product. It's safe. If you got a dog or cat on flea control from the vet, very likely the active ingredient in that flea control is a product called Fipronil, and that's the same active ingredient in Termitor. It's a very effective program. It's applied directly to your foundation of your house. It's a process that typically we can do in less than a day, and it's more cost effective than a baiting program. Over the long haul, it's much more cost effective than a baiting program.
Absolutely, for sure.
We get just constant calls every day of people that got baiting programs in with other companies, and we go out and look at it for them, and we show them the breakdown over a 5-year period, and they end up saving a bunch of money over a course of a 5-year period. It's really interesting to break down the numbers.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line is, it's a longer term solution to a real critical problem, right?
Correct. Termitor is a very, very effective product for termite control, and it's You've got to have dedicated equipment to use that product. We have been known since the inception of that product here in the Carolinas that we've dedicated equipment to that, and it's very, very effective.
That's great. Now, before we go to break, how do they get in touch with you if they see the things flying?
They can give us a call at 704-334-1616 or bugivy.com. That's 704-334-1616 or bugivy.com.
We'll be right back to Show Your Real Estate today. We've got so much more for you, so hang with us on News Talk 1110 99.3 WBT. Welcome back to Show Your Real Estate today. Hey, it's Paul Jameson, your host. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday. Hope you're with us. If you're just tuning in, this show is about real estate. If you're a longtime listener, thank you. We love doing this and we love sharing this information. I'm here with Marty and Sam Ivey, and I wanted to finish what we talked about in the first segment because Marty has been a part of this with me several times. One of the things I heavily rely on with Marty is not just his expertise around pest control, but also in the crawl space. And recently, we did an inspection on a home. I typically have Marty run the lead and look at the crawl space, and then we order the home inspection afterwards. And Marty went through and made some recommendations around the crawl space. And we had put a significant amount of money, hard money, down. So the seller went out. I was representing the buyer. The seller went out and got an estimate of their own, which is absolutely a prudent thing to do. But the person doing the estimate, their repair strategy was very different than Marty and Sam's repair strategy. Their repair strategy was fix it to get by, not fix it to solve the problem. And I think that's really important to talk about, guys, because you can fix, like, for example, if you cut into a joist, just because it's not bowing right now doesn't mean it's not going to bow in the future. So putting a little fix with a temporary pier on it is not the right way to fix it. You have to really go in and make sure that that joist is secure and that you're not going to have any further issues. And just putting a patch over, it's not how to handle it. It's like using, what do they call that stuff that you seal leaks with that's really undercoating? Flex seal on a pipe to stop a leak, right? That doesn't solve the problem. It just kind of stops the leak, but you still got the problem.
Paul, it's sort of
all the time.
It's Paul. It's sort of like my dad used to say. It's sort of like washing your feet with your socks on. Yeah. You're doing something, but you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We see it so often in our industry. In today's world, you can go out and you can research on the internet, or you can talk to 1,000 different people. And at some stage, you're going to find somebody that's going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. Right. May not be the right thing, but they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear. And the sad thing, what people think is, well, I'll go this cheaper route. And then when that don't work, I'll just hire this other company to come in and just pay the difference between this short price and the right price. Right. And they find out that it's usually more expensive to come back in and straighten somebody else's mess out than it is to just get it right the first time. And it's a sad situation. We see it a lot, especially we deal with a lot of homeowner associations. We see it a lot on this multifamily stuff. We see it a lot, but it's something that you deal with a lot in the industry. And I know it's a tough thing to negotiate sometimes to get people to get it right the first time.
Yeah. And you know what I think? I think sellers don't understand. If you get a large due diligence amount of money, let's say it's $5,000, and the fix to fix it right is $10,000.
Right.
Okay. But you've got that $5,000, and the seller's attitude is, well, I got $5,000. I can find somebody to fix it for $5,000. And and they're going to use the buyer's money, they think, to do that. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. And this is the truth. What ended up happening when we got boxed in the corner, my people walked away, but they went out and got a cheap fix. They used the buyer's money. And guess what? The next home inspector came in and said, this isn't going to fly. This repair is wrong. You're going to need to. So all that money was for naught. And the house was off the market for 2 months while they did the work. They should have gone with the original buyer's request, and they didn't do it. So sometimes you can run over dollars to pick up dimes. And that's exactly what happened. You know, and even in a house I own that I bought, I called Marty, and the one on 2nd Avenue, Marty, you went over there and you found the rotted band sill for me. You sent me a quote. We're going to seal that thing up. We're going to put a commercial grade dehumidifier in it. I am not going to have to deal with that mess again, ever.
I get it.
I mean, so, you know, it's a function of do it right and deal with it. And at the price points that we're paying for houses right now, what are you thinking? Fix it, be done. Because houses are expensive, more expensive now than they've ever been.
Right.
And so I'm not going to deal with it anymore. Thanks to Marty. So I'm excited about it. Huh? Yeah.
I like what you think.
And also on your property disclosure, people, if you put, like I said earlier, if you put a number in there, like all the HVACs were built in 2005, and you got one in there from 1995, guess what? That buyer, because you represented those units being newer than they are, and your deal falls through, they've got some grounds potentially to come back on you. And I wouldn't blame them if they did, if they're going to lose that money. So don't think because you got a whole lot of money from that buyer that you have 100% of the leverage. You don't. And you have to think about the long-term effects of going back out in the market. Remember what I talked about before, the stink eye? Remember, you go out on the market, you're going to have the stink eye too on top of it, even if there isn't anything wrong. So try to work together, you know, hold hands, hum, something. Because a deal where people are reasonable and work together and have reasonable solutions have better outcomes, I think, all the time. And agents don't need to get ugly. You don't need to call the baby ugly. That's not the point. But just work through it patiently together. And I'll tell you, I worked with an agent this week. She was a good agent. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Because she knew. And she was not a jerk about it at all. She was great. She worked with Alan Tate. Are they new? I just heard of them. They must be just coming into this market now. Anyway. All right. So think about that. All right. Next, just quickly. Deal killers. According to Inman, there are 7 of them. A chatty agent. You know, sometimes an agent can talk themselves out of a deal. If your agent's too chatty, they might be talking a little bit too much about stuff. All right. A know-it-all agent. They know it all. Well, I don't know it all. So what I don't know, I'll go figure out. I'll call Marty. He'll help me figure it out. The gladiator complex. They approach negotiation with as like it's a battle. That doesn't always work. Not everybody wants to battle with you. Number 4, seldom in doubt, or seldom right, never in doubt. It says, this guy's talking about his mother-in-law. I'm not going there. Seldom right, never in doubt behavior often shows up on listing appointments when agents tell the seller, I'm the expert and this is what your house is worth. Hey, be careful with that one. I'm telling you. Number 5, hide the ball. You know, that makes sure you are required to show the seller every offer that comes in. Don't hide the ball. Number 6, white knight syndrome. When the agent tries to control the decision-making process for the client, you have got to let them make the decision. And number 7, chop, chop, get it done. Basically, there may be things that can get done after the closing, and there are agreements to make that happen. Don't always rush the baby's bath. Make sure you wash under its arms and stuff to make sure that it smells good in the end. All right. We'll be right back. More with Ivey Exterminating. Myself, Paul Jameson, the show, Your Real Estate Today. Stay right with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Show Your Real Estate Today. Pretty good after my first piano lesson. Yeah, that's right. I'm Paul Jameson, your host. Thanks for spending your Saturday with us. We're here from the WVT studios, excited to talk to you about real estate. And I own Jameson Realty, Property Management, and Property Investments, here with Marty and Sam Ivey with Ivey Exterminating. So right before we started the show, Mr. TJ over here said something about cicadas are the North Carolina what?
The official bird.
They're the official bird of North Carolina. Is that true?
Heck yeah, it's true.
Yeah?
Of course
Okay.
it is.
So people go cicada watching?
Oh, they're not going to have to go far this year to find cicadas. This year, Brood X, kind of like your X-Men, but it's a brood of cicadas, are going to be coming out of the ground. They have been underground for 17 years, and they have been feeding on the sap from plants and tree roots around. And they're getting ready to come out, and they'll come out kind of late May, early June, and they will begin their courting ritual, which they will start to the male in his abdomen will start flexing that, and when he does, it'll create a high-pitched sound noise that will just drive everybody absolutely insane, because it'll be middle of the night and you'll hear these things going off all day long. And it can sound like a small airplane going by. It can sound like a lawnmower going by. And it just is going to be absolutely loud this year and out of control.
Now, I bought one of those bug zapper things that has the electric pulse that goes through it in the shape of a tennis racket. Will
You're
that
gonna need
do
the fire
anything with
department.
those?
You're gonna need Paul. When those things hit that bug zapper, you're gonna need the fire department. I'd put 911 on speed dial. I just go ahead and do it.
We're going to put a net up in the backyard.
Ooh, you're going to need one. But it is going to be very problematic this year, just because of how large this infestation of cicadas are going to be. And it will be pretty much kind of predominant to the Mid-East kind of region, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Tennessee. And it is going to drive everybody bonkers. And once they have their offspring are going to head back underground until 2038. So you'll get a little bit of a reprieve after this year for another 17
How big are these suckers going to be? Are they going to be bigger than the other ones that came out? The 7-year ones or whatever?
Mammoth.
Well, you
They're
say
gonna be
mammoth.
big.
How big is mammoth?
2 to 3 inches. 2 to 3 inches.
2 to 3 inches. So they are saddle worthy.
Yeah,
Oh,
and they're going to increase the population of the copperheads this year because they're one of the favorite food of copperhead snakes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm dead serious. Yes, I'm serious.
So the copperheads know they're coming.
Well, it's sort of like, it's just a chain theory. It's called the niche theory, and the niche theory says no suitable niche will go unoccupied through time. So when you have an abundance of something, you're going to have a predator that's going to come in after it.
Wow.
It's
I didn't
amazing.
realize. They're gonna have to
17 years. Can you
separate their
imagine?
jaws to
17
get them
years,
bad
man.
boys in there.
Festering in your yard for 17 years.
Wow. How deep in the yard are they? Can I kill them before they come out?
Well, no, not really. It's tough to get them controlled. There's something that gonna pop, and there's something that was just gonna process. There is gonna be as loud as 100 decibels. Can you imagine?
No.
Lawnmower's about 67, 70 decibels.
Golly.
Hard to
Okay,
imagine.
well, I guess the Bose headsets, the Bose
Yeah, the one of the
noise
fascinating
canceling
things.
headsets will be popular this year.
One of the fascinating things is since we've had an abundant year of wet weather, that wet weather is going to cause an abundance of mosquitoes. When you have significant wetting events like we've had this year, it's going to cause the mosquito populations to swell, and because there's just an abundance of water for larval and pupal development. And then when you have significant drying periods where it dries out, it pushes these mosquito into urban areas, because there's so many things in urban areas that they can gear up to, such as, bird baths, children's toys that hold water, sprinkler system, kiddie pools, a lot of man-made sources. And essentially what it does is it inflates the mosquito population in urban areas. If you go on mosquito control with us, you can get some control with the cicadas. One of the collateral effects of the mosquito control will be we'll be able to kind of minimize the cicada population also with our mosquito treatments.
Okay, so wait a minute. So I know
it's complicated.
The racket. I don't need to use the racket. You can fix that.
Well, yeah, and you want me to give it to you in a little bit more scientific term?
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten out?
Take me from second grade to third grade.
Have you ever gotten out of the car and submersed your foot down in some water?
Yes.
You know what they call that here in the South? A puddle. That's what we call a puddle. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, you got a mud puddle. Now that can also cause SSS. You know what SSS is? That's soggy sock syndrome.
You are so bad.
And I'm just telling
you. Did you hit your head?
And when you got these
Bless
puddles
your
like
heart.
that, you're going to have an abundance of mosquitoes. And you know what happens when you know it's mosquito time when it's cutting in your margarita time. True.
All right.
True.
All right. So, Marty,
I know that's scientific.
did you? That was heavy. I
It
almost
was.
need to listen to it again to make sure I got it. All right. So mosquito control. All right. You're doing mosquito control at my house this year? Are we doing that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just checking. All right. So mosquito control, how in the world are you going to stop all the mosquitoes coming over and visiting from my neighbor's house and my house? Because TJ's over here saying, I just let the mosquitoes go next door. It's no big
Well,
deal.
the funny thing is mosquitoes don't want to fly about a certain distance. And what people don't realize is when they're biting you, that's actually a female that's biting you for protein to reproduce. They get their nutrition to survive, their food source, from plant growth. They feed on plant growth. And what we do is we come in and treat plant growth around your home. So when those mosquitoes land on that plant growth, it will kill them. And it's believe it or not, Paul, it's very, very effective.
Well,
You would be amazed at how it will knock down the mosquito population in your yard.
I need a knockdown mosquito population because they just cleared out an area behind my house for a retention pond.
Right.
And now I got wet behind my house and they're visiting and they don't leave.
I
I need them
know.
to leave.
And if you go wading in that retention pond, you're going to get SSS, soggy sock syndrome.
Oh, Sam, will you hit him again, please?
He did. That's what caused
Now,
it.
listen, I want to tell you something. You folks out there can watch us on Zoom. Marty and Sam, myself, Sandy, we record this stuff.
Yeah.
So if you go on our Jameson Realty YouTube channel, you can, it's a completely different show in and of itself. Turn the volume off and just watch,
Yeah. Well,
because
you can actually do a screenshot of me and you can take that and hang it on your trash can and it'll keep the raccoons out of it.
Oh my. Sam, when did you come join the business? How many was it? 10 years ago?
No, not that long ago. It's been about 5 years, coming up on 5 years.
Well, Marty said it felt like 10, but
It does.
It felt like it was yesterday.
did you ever think that we'd be sitting here doing this?
No, I'm still stuck on margarita time.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of nice that Marty has a kegerator at work. So if you guys need some help in your yard, mosquito control, termites or others, or crawl space inspection, how do you get in touch with Marty?
Give us a call, 704-334-1616 or bugivy.com.
And I want you to get out to my house quick, Marty. Get those mosquitoes sprayed.
We'll get that on the books.
All right, you can reach us at they're ready, 846-DONE or 846-3663 or on the web at myjamesonhomes.com. God bless. Talk to you next week. The show, Your Real Estate Today. Take care.